boys. Molly Karen Rose here with my guys, Max Kellerman, Stephen A. Smith, Kendrick Perkins. Fellas, tomorrow it all goes down. LeBron will look to clinch his fourth ring for those Lakers. And the Hall of Famer Isaiah Thomas joined the Max Kellerman Show on ESPN Radio and delivered this hot take on the greatest of all time debate. Listen up, y'all.
I'm fortunate enough to have lived in an era where I've gotten to see the greatest basketball players ever play the game and have competed against some of them. So this is, I'm just happy to be in this era where we've had a chance to view when LeBron James is all said and done. I don't even think there'll be a doubt in terms of who the greatest ever player on sport was. He will be it.
All right, I can't wait for your responses. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go Stephen A. Perk. We already discussed it on Radio Max your last. Stephen A., do you agree with Isaiah, who played against Michael Jordan? When it's all said and done, LeBron James will be the GOAT?
Hell no. I do not agree with Isaiah Thomas. And before I go a little bit, I'd like to remind everybody how close Isaiah Thomas and I are. We've known each other for nearly 30 years. Isaiah, believe it or not, I don't know if I ever told y'all this. I was a high school reporter for the New York Daily News. He gave me my very first NBA interview ever. You know, he was walking away, wasn't talking to the media at that particular moment in time, and saw this young brother that was on the come up in the industry, trying to make something happen for myself and my career. He's the first player to give me an interview, and we've been cool ever since. And I love the guy personally, and we don't disagree on much. This is that Isaiah Thomas and I have been disagreeing about for the better part of a decade. It's not new. Isaiah saying what Max Kellerman yesterday, I appreciate the fact that he revealed that, but he and I have been arguing for 12 years, because even 12 years ago he was saying this kind of stuff about LeBron James. I thought it was utterly ridiculous then. I think it's ridiculous now. And that's anything away. I'm almost uncomfortable talking about this because I don't want to take anything away from the greatness of LeBron or the fact that he's about to capture his fourth ring. He's worthy of being on the Mount Rushmore of basketball, because that's how phenomenal I think LeBron James is. But he ain't MJ, okay? And we can look at the numbers all we want to. I can look at the 6 rings compared to 3, probably 4 by tomorrow night that Michael Jordan will have over LeBron James. I could look at the 10 scoring titles of Michael Jordan compared to the 1 for LeBron James. I can look at the Defensive Player of the Year that Michael Jordan has won compared to none that LeBron has ever won, or the fact that Michael Jordan was a 9-time All-Defensive Player in the NBA, since we're not just talking about scoring and we're not just talking about offense. But what I would also like to say to the great Isaiah Thomas, to the Zeke, to the man that was grossly unfairly deprived of a spot on the original Dream Team in the 1992 Olympics in Barcelona. That Isaiah Thomas that was not selected, and clearly it was political, favoritism for one guy over another. John Stockton has averaged more assists in his career than Isaiah Thomas. He's averaged more in his career than Isaiah Thomas. He's got a better field goal shooting percentage, 3-point field goal shooting percentage than Isaiah Thomas. But nobody worth his salt, meaning nobody outside of the ignorance that Max Kellerman once spewed when he tried to sit up there and say it's by a hair that Isaiah Thomas was John Stockton was comparable to Isaiah, which is about the most blasphemous basketball argument you can make as far as I'm concerned, because John Stockton wasn't even on Isaiah's level, okay? In the end, my point is statistics alone don't tell a story. And I'm going to end it by this, because I know that I got to give y'all this time to talk. Let me be very, very clear with what I'm trying to say here. Every matter. And what I find most egregious, most blasphemous about Isaiah Thomas's statement is that he ignores the era he was playing in, as far as I'm concerned. It was physical. It was very volatile. It was an era made for the Kendrick Perkins of the world, for crying out loud. I'm talking about banging bodies, Jordan rules, people getting assaulted and only getting called having a foul called against the person that assaulted them, as opposed to today where you could get ejected for having bad breath. And LeBron James at 6'9", 260 pounds, is playing in the softest era ever seen in NBA basketball. The fact that Isaiah Thomas ignores that is beyond me. Floor is y'all's.
Well, Stephen A., you said a lot and you took up the time, but here it is. Let me tell you where you lied at. You forgot that LeBron James and I, in 2003, the league wasn't soft then. They still had Gary Payton. They Shaquille O'Neal. They still had Rasheed Wallace, Ben Wallace. They still had some rough riders. The league wasn't what it was back then, what it is today. So that's the first thing. Second thing, let's talk about LeBron James' story. Forget all the stats that I could throw out there that may take up majority of the show. Forget this segment. I'm not going to even address that. I'm going to address the word pressure. No athlete in the history, not just in basketball, but in history of sports, have had the pressure that LeBron James has had since the age of 16. I keep telling people that when he was in high school, when they labeled him the chosen one, people in the NBA, they got evidence, were waiting and hating on this man, saying he's not going to do this in the league. And he did it in the league. When you talk about pressure, he left Cleveland and went to South Beach, where it was pressure on them to win championships, and he delivered. Then he returned back to Cleveland, where an owner called him a Benedict Arnold. And he went back to the state of Ohio, his hometown, and delivered a championship in great fashion. One of the best championships in NBA history. That's pressure. And what he do? He joined one of the most historical franchises in NBA history. The Lakers with Magic, Kareem, Kobe.
3 players on the team. We'll have more on what this means for the NFL later in this weekend's games.
You're one of the most well-known athletes on the planet. The Lakers are one of the most notorious brands in all of sports. How did those two things come together and amplify one another?
I think it's a perfect match.
I made the fade famous.
The city is named the City of Angels. The angels are smiling on it.
Grace, I'm gracefully aging.
I want people to say that LeBron James did it his way.
Nostalgia, how I remember things, remember crowns, remember kings.
What you dreamed of? Or everything and more. I mean, you have the Laker colors falling from the ceiling and the fans going crazy. Cleveland! This is for you! This is for you! This is for you!
I'm happy to be here at this point now in my career and at this point in time, Lakers franchise today, where we're both wanting to get back to that promise.
Welcome to First Take. You know what